Right, good to see all of you here. Great to have Drew here with us. For over a decade, Drew Dockery has been coaching, mentoring, and consulting numerous organizations and is currently an active advisor and coach to many high-level professionals, small business owners, and entrepreneurs in different areas of business and leadership. While in the process of serving others, Drew Dockery was able to build his first seven-figure business in 2019, teaching financial literacy and investing to entrepreneurs. To better serve this community of driven and ambitious visionaries, Drew wrote the Connectors Handbook, which was released July of 2022. With his partner, Javonna Kincannon, Drew has developed an intuitive, expansive, and intense skill building coaching program called the Connectors Corner. Welcome, Drew. It's so good to have you here with us.
Wow, thank you. It almost sounds like I probably paid you a little something for that introduction, the way it sounded. I'm like, man, that sounds pretty good. Well, thanks for having me today. I'm looking forward to some ongoing meetings, being connected with the community here in Grow Buffalo. So thank you so much, Connie, for the invite. I look forward to connecting with many of you after today's presentation. Hopefully we can keep a conversation going from here on out. And well, with that being said, let's get right to it. She gave a little bit about what I've done recently in the last, I would say, decade or so. But today we're going to talk about goal setting. So I just want to get right into it because we only have a little bit of time. We're going to talk about goal setting with the end in mind. Now, what I've always been taught by a lot of my business coaches and mentors, we start with a number. The numbers are absolute. Jim Rohn said in one of his documentaries or his audio speeches, the numbers tell us the whole story. So it's going to tell you about everything you need to do to get to that level. So of course we start with the numbers. So with the numbers, we're talking specifically the time frame you're looking to accomplish this. We're talking about the level of income you want to be at. And at that point, we can now work backwards. A lot of my clients, when we start, they have an idea or they have maybe something that they want to pursue or something they want to accomplish in business in a certain time or at a certain time, but it's always very vague. And I'm quite sure a lot of you professionals out here, you already know this. So this will just be, bringing back information to your memory for today, or recall, if you will. But so we're going to start with the money. I talk about money a lot, not because I'm money hungry, but money is the answer to all things, according to my own principles and beliefs. Not trying to push religion here, but the principles work. So whatever you believe is good as long as the principles work, right? So money answers all things. So we start with money first. Why do we start with money? Because now you can say my projected income for this year is supposed to be this level, right? Let's just take a round number of $100,000. Let's say your goal is $100,000 for what you do for your business, and you want to work backwards. So now we have that number. We know the end date, which is the time frame. So December 31st this year, 2023. Where do you want to be? So we have the time frame, we have the numbers. Now what we do is we break that down into small chunks. So typically I build my business in a 90-day, like quarterly interim throughout the year. And we go month to month from there. So the smallest and the most minute we can break our activity down to, then I know I'll be on track or on pace to hit my goal relatively quickly. Now, the goal is not the most important thing. The most important thing about setting the goal is what you become in the process. So hopefully you guys are taking notes. If you can take notes, take that, make that your first note. It's not about the goal. It is about what you become in the process. Goals aren't always meant to be hit. You'll hit them, but the time frame may be too small. You may have too small of a window. You may not have the right resources. You might not even be the right person for that goal that you're specifically looking to hit at that point. However, if you know what the goal is, like I said, we work backwards. So in the backtracking of where you are to where you want to be, you'll start to see what steps need to be made so that you can get to that certain level. And now your goal becomes a lot more achievable. So in my business career, my mentor, he had his name is Holton Buggs. He had a goal to hit a certain level of income in 12 months. The goal was so big because of where he was with his company and his organization. He's the leader. The speed of the leader is the speed of the group. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So him being the leader, he has to have a goal large enough that will cover the entire organization and have everybody else's goals be able to fall in line with what they're actually doing as far as activity and what they're trying to achieve with the goal. So as a leader, many of us, we're CEOs, we're the head of our programs, head of our companies, we're the top-notch entrepreneur in our organization. So what you're going to have to do is set a goal that's large enough for people to find themselves within your vision or your goal. Your goal has to be large enough for them to be able to say, okay, I want to hit this amount of money. So let's just say we'll take it up a notch. Let's not say $100,000. Let's say $1 million. We want to push our income revenue for the company overall to $1 million this year. Let's say you have about 10 people on staff, and then you have other, expenses, operating expenses, right? You want to make sure that your revenue is going to cover what they have as a goal and what you have as a goal, and all of the other stuff that you can't really think of or see at that given moment. Once you're there, let's say we got the $1 million, we have the 10 employees, including yourself, right? So now you break that down to what do we have to accrue as far as revenue every month. You have a certain level you want to be at financially, and now you can work yourself up. So now everybody else has activity that goes right into your goal as well. Collectively, you guys can build something that is going to hit your goal easily, because it's not just all on you as a leader, even though the speed of the leader is the speed of the group. So the group now has a starting point and they have an end point, and they have the absolutes, which is the time and the money. So the biggest question that we have to ask ourselves, like what I said with my coach, Holton Bugs, he had to create a vision large enough that would make him want to work and create a system that is efficient enough for everybody in his organization to now hit their goals, while the company as a whole hits the embodiment's goal, the whole organization's goal. So if everything rises and falls on leadership, we have to now ask ourselves the most, and I feel like this is the most number one and most important question: what does my activity have to look like? So if I have the time frame, right? I have the time frame, I have the income amount that I want to be at. Now, what does my activity have to look like? For me, this breaks down to the environment that you have to be in order to become something. Remember, we said earlier, your goal is going to create something, end result, starting with the end in mind. You know what your end result is supposed to be, or what you want it to be, right? So now you have to now put the work in. Without faith, faith without works is dead. So you have to put some work in now. But the key is to find out what your number is, and now we can itemize what your activity needs to be. So your environment is very important, because that's going to either make or break your activity. Many of us are parents. We have kids. I have 3 wonderful, as one of my friends call it, mediocre children. But no, my kids are hilarious. I enjoy spending time with them. They all have their own individual personalities. Funniest people I've ever met in my life. But that I have certain responsibilities, right? And me wearing the hat of an entrepreneur, there's a lot of responsibility that is placed on me. I have a lot of people who rely on me to be efficient and effective with whatever activity I'm doing to achieve this overall goal. So now we have to compartmentalize everything that we're doing. So your activity is not just about your business. Yes, that is a major part as far as your goal. But I think the one part that we miss as business builders, as professionals, as entrepreneurs, we miss the fact that even though we have something that we're going for, there are always outside forces that you now have to manage as well. So the easy part, to me, is managing the business, right? You know what you want to do, you know what you want to have accomplished. The hard part is now taking your life and moving it into a certain place of management and having everything itemized within your life so that it works well, so that you can still hit your goal. Now, obviously, the last 2 years have been tough with the pandemic, with people getting sick, losing family members. We can't account for that within a 12-month time period. Those are the inevitables. And though we can't control the time frame or when those things happen or when we have to deal with those type of situations, we do our best to manage them, right? But still, you still have other people who are counting on you. There are still other people who are around, and they're going to need you to stay focused, to stay consistent. And that is going to take a certain level of activity in order to do that. Outside of my coaching business, I coach basketball wise, right? So I do some basketball trainings. Had a couple videos go viral in the last few months, playing ball with my son and some of his friends. And a lot of them are, I guess, like the new thing is being a YouTuber or some sort of social media influencer. One of the young guys I play with, he's a TikToker. And what I've noticed though, and what I try to teach them is finding a rhythm with your activity. So for them on the basketball court, rhythm looks like a certain way you move, your footsteps, and how you manage everything. Everything has to be calculated for a certain period of time. After it's calculated, it becomes like a muscle memory thing. So now you can do it and not think about it. Your activity has to be that well planned to the point where it's muscle memory when you build. One of my coaches told me, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And the only way you can stay ready is if you create that muscle memory, which comes from your regular activity. Organized chaos is how I describe my family. It's a lot going on all the time. There is never a dull moment. Somebody's needing this, somebody's needing that, somebody's hungry, somebody needs to go to practice. It is always something. So I have to manage all of those different issues while we're, going through the course of the day, and then still having my own goals and stuff for business at the forefront as well. So just having that ability to manage your activity, you start with the end in mind, and that's how you start to set your goals, because goal setting is a skill. It is most certainly a skill, and that skill is going to cause you to have a certain level of rhythm when you're building your business. So for me, I'll just backtrack a little bit with my business. I know for a fact, if I don't get out in a 12-month time span and talk to, let's just say, 1,000 people for the sake of numbers, it's going to be hard to hit my numbers. It's going to be hard. So I have to go out, and I'm not talking about just like, for me, I make it extremely complicated, because I want to make sure I'm putting my best efforts into my business. I know I'm going to be networking. I know I'm a part of different networking groups. I've been blessed to get many contacts and have many new friends throughout building this business and the writing of the book. But I'm talking about as far as my own personal efforts. I think we call it prospecting. Just meeting new people, adding new people to my network, and making sure my network is constantly fluid and it's moving and it's growing and it's developing based on who I'm connected to. So I need about 1,000 people a year. That breaks down to about 83 and some percentages of a person. You can't have half of a person. So we'll just say 84 people a month for the sake of numbers, right? So we need about 84 people that we have to make new contacts with every month. So me going out and making that effort and connecting with different people in my community, and even outside of Buffalo, just getting connected with professionals in different places. And it may not always be to just do business right away. A lot of times it's just us having a connection. Would I like to do business with you? Would you like to do business with me? And then if we can have that dynamic or that connection, then we can, further grow from there. But my goal starts with that overall number. I know that hits a certain amount of income per year. So now we break that down. This is what it's going to be monthly if we hit these numbers, as far as looking to get to this goal at the end of the year. Will everything go perfect? Absolutely not. I'm expecting plenty of things to go awry. And I think that's just one thing we learn as a parent. You start to learn how to really manage and take care of what's going on around you the best way you can. And you just handle it and you move on. And, you still deal with life. But The goal and having it set and having the end result in mind is how you really want to go into your year. So with this being the first week of January, or second week of January, I mean, last week's first week. So the second week of January, first meeting for Grow Buffalo this year. We definitely want to start to have our goals in mind and start to ask yourself, am I really putting legs and activity to what I want to do this year? Or are you one of those people who just kind of go with the flow to see how everything is going to work out? Right now, I am living in a goal that I set 5 years ago. Me writing the book last year, that was a goal. It wasn't supposed to happen at that time. I did have a time frame on it. I gave myself 7 years. So when I first started working with one of my last businesses, the financial literacy company that was mentioned in my bio, I gave myself a timeline. I said about 7 years we'll be here. I expected to be coaching, but just not on the level that I ended up getting to, or where I'm at right now. So I'm actually living into my goal. And it was because I gave myself a certain time frame. We had a certain level of activity. Did we know the pandemic was coming? Absolutely not. But we had to still be able to, as the boxers say, roll with the punches, bob and weave. And that's pretty much what you're doing. You're in a fight for the success of what your dream is supposed to be. And in order to make sure that you have the best results from that fight, you have to find the rhythm while you're fighting. Know your opponent. Your opponent may be time. Your opponent may be obstacles that you're going against. Your opponent may be your own mindset. It could be just you. You could be the biggest person standing in the way of you getting to where you want to get to in life. So I hope that was helpful. And that's my talk for today. When I finish talking or having any type of conversations with a group of folks, I always tell you guys the same thing: believe bigger, believe better, and expect greater. Thanks for having me, guys.